Hello everyone, this is Shannon for Waffle Flower Crafts. In today's video, we are going to color with colored pencils and color these beautiful peonies from the Peony Notes stamp set. This is the new Peony Note combo set. As you can see, you have these beautiful flowers and some really great sentiments in this Peony Notes set. And this is the combo set, so on the back you have the matching dies. I love how the dies not only cut out the flowers, but also the sentiments in the set. So I have both of the floral stamps from the stamp set here in my MISTI. Just line them up on some white cardstock and I'm going to stamp them in a Gina K Amalgam ink. This is Whisper. It's a really light kind of tan color, and I actually do stamp that a second time just to make it a little bit bolder, but I really do love how soft it is. Now I'm going to start in with my colored pencils. I'll be using Prismacolor colored pencils today, and my colors are on screen so you can follow along. I'm starting with the peony, and I just picked out one petal, and I'm coloring the whole petal with my lightest shade of pink. I actually only use 2 colored pencils to color the entire peony in, and so I'm making sure to get all the values from those 2 pencils. I'm starting with a really light touch, so I'm coloring that whole petal in first with that light pink, but very lightly. Now I'm coming back in and coloring the lower 2/3 of it a little bit more to build up a little bit more of intensity and make it look a little darker so it has that look of being curved. Your pressure is the most important part when working with colored pencils. That is the key to how I can get different values from just this one shade of colored pencil. Now I'm moving on to my darker shade, and I'm going to start just by kind of outlining the base of the petal, the very bottom of the petal. Once I kind of get that outline down, I will start to color in and create a little bit of shading right there at the very base of the petal, which is going to be kind of my darkest point of the petal. I do kind of like a crosshatch coloring sometimes, or even circles, so I definitely vary my direction of how I color. I think it has a nice softer look if you do it that way than if you continue to color only one direction. Now that I've kind of built up some of that intensity, I'm going to move on to another petal here, and same procedure. I'm going to color that whole entire petal first with my lightest color. After I get kind of that base color down, I'll go back in and color a little bit more with that same color just to kind of build up that darkness, that kind of light pink, make it a little bit darker, and then I'll move to my darkest shade and I will color. I usually start with kind of making an outline and then kind of color out from there a little bit. If you've ever watched any of my videos before that I've Copic colored in, I kind of approach my coloring with colored pencils in the same manner. I start with my lightest, then I work my way down to my darker shades. In this case, I only have a light and a dark shade, but then I kind of work my way back out, and that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm going back in again with my darker shade, kind of darkening up some areas that should be darker, even adding some kind of veins to the petals, just little details that kind of really adds texture to the card, and just kind of enhancing the lines just so you can see them a little bit better. I try to bolden the edge of any, the edge of the petal that's dark. In an area that's dark, I'll use the dark pencil, and then an area that's lighter, I'll go back over, like I did at the very top of that first petal. I went back over that very top of the petal with my lighter shade and kind of define that edge of the petal, and I think that just helps to kind of show it off a little bit better. Sometimes I like to rely on contrast, just by having the very edge of the petal be light and then the petal that's next to it, then that petal be a little bit dark to kind of enhance the edge. These are just things that I'm thinking about to make sure that you can really see these petals, because this is no line coloring, so I'm relying on only my coloring to really make this image appear and be visible, and so you can tell what separates one petal from the next and really get the sense of this peony, this beautiful flower that was drawn, and get a sense of shape and real form to each one of these petals as well. And as I work my way around this peony, I'm sure you noticed me going back to some areas that I colored before and kind of touching up, kind of mostly darkening some sections, because as I work around, either I realize that part is not as dark as it really should be to really kind of, because it's more in shadow than this part over here, or maybe I didn't even color a shadow in. So I definitely go back and forth to things that I previously colored as I work my way around this petal, as I'm kind of figuring it out as I work my way around. And so I went ahead and cut out a lot of it here just because this is a very time consuming process. This is not as fast, and this is probably the most time consuming coloring medium I've ever worked with. I did really enjoy it. I've been obsessed with colored pencils lately, what I've seen other artists make on Instagram, and I really wanted to try and see if I could work with colored pencils as well. And that's I just love the really soft texture that colored pencils provide. And I've been kind of on a no line coloring kick, so I just really was drawn to try to color these peonies in with my colored pencils. And so this is my attempt. Right now I'm just coloring in the inside. I started with a light yellow, then I moved to a medium orange just to kind of add a little shading, and then I'm finishing up just by adding specks. Really, they're just like little dashes here and there with a really dark orange, and that just kind of creates the look of the inside of the flower. So I went ahead and colored the other 3 flowers in the same manner, and now I'm going to move on to the leaves. Now for the leaves, I'm going to color them in the same kind of manner that I colored the peony. I'm going to start with my lightest shade first. I'm going to color about halfway actually with my lightest shade. I do have 3 colors picked out for the leaves. So this is my medium shade here. And again, my colors are on screen so you can follow along. I do overlap my colors a little bit just to kind of help blend it out and get a nice gradation between the colors. Now moving on to my darkest shade. This is the color that I use for the stems primarily, and I even color a little bit up on the leaf as well with this really dark green. I use the colors to also create the veins in the leaf. So at the base of the leaf, I use the darkest to create the veins. In the middle section, I use my medium shade, and for the very tip of the leaf, I'll use my lightest colored pencil to kind of create all those little lines and the veins. That's just something to remember, like be consistent with your areas. Like you wouldn't want to use that really dark color at the very tip. It would look very kind of color book style. It wouldn't look as natural as if you kind of sectioned your leaf off and did the veins kind of in those color sections of light, medium, dark. So now moving on to my other leaves here, I'm going to color these leaves in the exact same manner. So light, medium, dark, and then back through again, and then also adding when I go back through the vein lines as well to those leaves. So I'm going to jump ahead again and to finishing up this very last leaf as well as the stem here with some buds. The buds, I just used my light pink and dark pink. Again, they're very easy, just kind of made them a little darker at the base where the bud meets the stem. And once I finish that up, I'm done with all my coloring with my colored pencils. So now I'm going to die cut these out with the matching dies. So off camera, I went ahead and die cut these flowers out. I love how the die cuts out between the leaves. It just makes it really beautiful and more lacy and intricate. Now I'm going to stamp a sentiment from this set. I just stamped it in Abandoned Coral Distress Oxide, and now I will die cut that out as well. Now I'm going to create a frame with the Ticket Frames die. I die cut it out of a yellow cardstock as well as white craft foam, and now I'm going to glue the 2 together. I'm using Tombow Mono multi-liquid adhesive here and just glue those 2 together, and then I will set that aside to dry a little bit, and I'm going to now work on creating my card base. So my card base, I want it to be this really beautiful peachy orange color, but this peach color is just really thin weight cardstock, only like 65. And as you can see here, when I put the 2 together, I get that little lip. So all I did was I took my 110-pound white card base and trimmed it down 1/8 of an inch on both the front and the back. And now that peach cardstock will really fit nice and snugly perfectly. So I just used my tape runner, added some adhesive to the front of my white card base, and then just kind of stood it upright to kind of line the 2 together. That's a really handy trick to kind of get nice perfect alignment on this. And now I'll do the back side of my card, same thing, use my tape runner, apply some tape, and then I will fold that over, and that will be done. And again, I just did this because that peach color cardstock is really lightweight, and I really want that gorgeous 110-pound weight for my card bases. I just think that they feel much better with that heavier weight cardstock. So now I'm going to take my frame and add some liquid adhesive to the back side of it. Once I've got that glue on, then I will flip it over and center it on my card front. I'll just press it down for a little bit just till that glue sets up, and then I'll move on to my flowers. So my flowers, I want them to have a little bit of dimension, so I'm going to use my craft foam again because it's the same thickness as the frame, and I just cut it into a strip and I'm just adhering it to the back side of these flowers at the biggest point of the flowers, or at the wide point of the flowers, I should say, not on any of the leaves, because the leaves are going to kind of overlap on the frame, so that frame is going to support them. I also added a little bit of craft foam to the back side of my sentiment as well, because I want that to be popped up. Now I'm just going to add some more glue to the craft foam and then just kind of position them here on my card. And as you can see, how the leaves kind of intersect with the frame, so the frame is supporting a lot of those really kind of spindly leaves. Now I'll add a little bit of glue to my sentiment and just kind of pop it in that left or right side of my card, and then I'm going to finish this card with some crystals. I'm going to use Nouveau Drops, the clear, which is called Morning Dew, as an adhesive, and then I will just use my jewel picker here and kind of place them around just to add a little sparkle and almost look like kind of like dewdrops. And once I've stuck those down, my card is done. Now I'll hold my card up to the camera so you can get a good look at all the details. I love how soft these colored pencils look. I really love them, especially with no line coloring. I think they just really work so well together. It is a very time consuming coloring process, but I do think your end results are very worth it. And here are the photos so you can kind of look at them again with the colors, because the video kind of washes them out a little bit. I hope you guys enjoyed today's card and video. If you want any more information on the products I use, please visit Waffle Flower, and you can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook for more creative ideas. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.